Welcome to Leadership and Motherhood, the podcast for ambitious, high-achieving women navigating leadership in the boardroom and at home. I'm your host, Leanna Laskey McGrath, business leader, mom, and certified executive coach. I believe that every woman deserves to create a life and career on her own terms, one that she truly loves. This podcast is here to help you do just that. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership and Motherhood. I'm so excited that you're here. And before we dive into this conversation, I want to tell you why this episode felt like the perfect place to start with this new podcast. Today, I have Rebecca Blacker here, and she and I talked about so many of the themes that high-achieving women and moms carry every single day. People-pleasing, difficulty delegating, mom guilt, showing up for everybody else, and sometimes having a really hard time showing up for yourself. We talked about that push and pull that so many of us feel, wanting to be at every school event, wanting to plan the birthday party, wanting to be the one that packs the suitcases for vacation and knows which socks to buy, and at the exact same time, wanting to build something meaningful, wanting to kick ass at work and have a really impactful career, wanting to show up fully for your team, wanting to be available for your clients. I think sometimes it can feel like we're trying to live two very big lives at once. And then layered on top of all of that is comparison. We're comparing ourselves to other moms. We're comparing ourselves to our own mothers. We're wondering if we're measuring up and wondering what our kids will say about their experience growing up with us as their mother someday. So this episode is going to talk about all of that. And not from a place of shame, not from a place of, here's the perfect balance, and if you're not creating it, then you're doing it wrong. But from a real place, from a place of authenticity and honesty. I think that Rebecca's story is such a powerful example of this tension because for her, becoming a mother wasn't the thing that made her pull back on her career. It was actually the catalyst for a major career transition. She did not take her foot off the gas. In fact, becoming a mother inspired her to pursue work that felt more aligned, more fulfilling, and more hers. And so in this conversation, we explore what that looked like and what came along with that. The guilt, the ambition, the delegation struggles, the internal narratives about what a good mom is supposed to be. So if you are a high-achieving woman who sometimes feels like you're split in two, you are in the exact right place because this episode is definitely for you. I'm so glad you're here. Let me tell you all about my guest for today. Rebecca Blacker is a leading force in New York City residential real estate and the co-founder of Blacker & Team, Coldwell Banker Warburg's #1 producing team for 2 consecutive years, ranked among the top 1% of Coldwell Banker agents worldwide, and recognized by Real Trends as one of America's best real estate professionals from 2022 to 2025. Rebecca is known for her sharp market insight, calm professionalism, and exceptional client service. A native New Yorker from a real estate family, Rebecca grew up immersed in the business through her father's investment and property management company. Today, she combines that lifelong foundation with data-driven strategy, strong negotiation skills, and a warm, intuitive approach. Her deep knowledge of New York City buildings and neighborhoods has made her a trusted resource for buyers, sellers, and developers. Clients appreciate Rebecca's honest guidance, clear communication, and ability to make complex processes feel seamless. Her expertise has been featured in the New York Times, Forbes, Business Insider, Marie Claire, and Apartment Therapy. Whether working with new buyers or seasoned investors, Rebecca brings focus, creativity, and dedication to every transaction. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being here. That was quite a bio. You are quite the real estate agent.
It's taken many years to get here.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear about how you've gotten here and also about the rest of your life, right? Because I know you have kids and you're also balancing lots of other things outside of all of these amazing professional accomplishments. So maybe if you could start off, just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a mom of two. I have an 8 and 6-year-old, and I am a top producing real estate broker in New York. I run an all women's team. We specialize in selling in mostly Manhattan, and we represent buyers and sellers in all different neighborhoods. And we have a lot of fun doing it.
Wonderful. Well, so have you always been in real estate? Like, tell me more about how you came to this profession.
So I grew up in a real estate family, actually. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor,
Oh, wow.
and he came to the US and basically asked his friends for some money. We've actually found some pieces of paper in his home that said, like, this friend, $100, this friend, $300. And he basically pooled money together from his friends, and he bought his first building, which was in the Bronx. My grandfather started in the real estate business. My father then joined him and grew the business even more. And then my mom ended up joining the business later on. So my dinner table was very much, we were talking about tenants and maintenance and buildings and all that stuff. So I sort of grew up hearing about it.
Okay.
I definitely tried to avoid going into it. I was finance major. I thought I was going to, work in finance, and sort of by happenstance ended up working in my family business after college.
In finance or?
No.
Okay.
It was 2009 when I graduated. So it was a tough financial time. And so I didn't get the finance job that I wanted. And so my dad was like, why don't you come work in the business while you're like applying for more jobs and figuring out your next steps? And next thing I knew, I was there for 10 years and never did finance. So it was an amazing sort of stepping stone. I learned so much. My dad ended up retiring halfway through those 10 years. So I was really running the business 5 years in. But it was something I didn't build myself. I was managing my family's multifamily buildings. So they were rental buildings, mostly in the outer boroughs. Just never felt like it was mine. I decided when my daughter was born that I was going to transition into something I enjoyed more, which was, I always really loved the leasing aspect of the business. So putting people into their homes. And so 2019, I decided to take the leap and leave my family business and become a broker full time.
Wow. It's 2026. So in just like 6 or 7 years, you've built an amazing business, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I like to say I had a little bit of a head start, right? Like I came from the industry. There's a lot of overlap between managing buildings and sort of knowing the ins and outs of the sale process. So there is some, and leasing, a lot of brokers start by doing rentals, and I did thousands of them. So I definitely knew a lot coming in, and I grew up in New York City. So I knew the buildings, and I knew the blocks and the different areas like the back of my hand. So it was sort of like I definitely had a head start.
Yeah. What was it about becoming a mom that made you decide to make that transition?
I kind of woke up one day and I was like, if I'm going to go to work every day and not be home with my kids, then I have to really love what I'm doing and like want to go to work every day, because otherwise, like, it's not going to happen. And I also wanted to feel super successful. For me, going to like a 9 to 5 where I was just managing something didn't fulfill me in the way that I needed it to in order to leave my kids for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember reading Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In, and that was what she talked about, is that a lot of times women will pull themselves out of their careers and take lower impact jobs because, they know they're going to have kids in the future and they don't want to lean in too much to their career. But really, it's about finding something that you love so much that it makes it worth it when you're spending that time away from them.
Absolutely. It was 100% that for me.
Yeah. So how has that been in terms of building your own thing
Yeah.
while building your own family?
It's been a wild ride. Um, but I'm so glad I did it and do it. I love what I do. I get to work with people. I get to see beautiful spaces. And it turned out I was pretty good at it. So
Mm,
it is a lot to manage sometimes. I work 7 days a week, some weeks, a lot of weekends. I have an amazing husband that really just is with my kids on the weekends a little bit more than I can be. And I would say the first probably 4 years or so was just, I think my mind was more on work than at home. Or I would be home, but I was very much like my brain was going with work. And at that point, I realized I want to be able to balance it a little bit more. And it was sort of like those first 4 years, I had so much to prove. I was building. I wanted to prove to myself and everybody that like I left this family business and now I need to, have success in what I'm doing. But after those 4 years, I realized I needed some help. So at that point, I partnered up with another broker who's now my business partner, and we grew our team to be 5 of us. So now I have a little bit, more
mhm,
support. I
mhm.
have people to lean on and help me when I can't be everywhere at once. I don't feel like I'm dropping balls as much as I did before. And I'm now able to be a lot more present at home. Of course, I have a lot of help at home too.
It's interesting because there are two very common thought patterns that a lot of women that I work with have that it sounds like either you don't have or maybe you change. So I'm curious about them because I think the first one is that decision to leave the like known and comfortable, the job that is, we'll call it like easy. I don't know if that's true, but like
Yeah.
easy, probably easier than starting your own thing from scratch, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, whenever we get into parenting years, our mindset will be like, well, I should just like stay where I am, where I know the job, where, I could do it in my sleep so that way, I'm like learning this new thing of being a parent. I don't know how to like learn a new thing of being a parent and also learn a new thing of building a business. So I
Mhm.
think that's one interesting thing that you thought about very differently. And I think the other thing is that a lot of women will be very hesitant to seek out help. We feel like we have to do it all ourselves and we might drop balls, but like there are balls to drop and we don't really want to like give them to anybody else. And so I think whenever, like bringing on more people and partnering with someone to help to share the load, I think that's another interesting thought process. So I'm curious for both of those or for either one of those, like, how did you get to that? Were those just like default decisions for you that were so clear, or did it take you a while to, to like work up to it?
Yeah. I think I must be a little crazy that I decided to just like shake up my life while I had babies at home. I don't think that that was sort of like the normal path. And I've thought about it so much and I'm not really sure what I was thinking. Maybe it was like a postpartum like something. But
Mhm.
so I completely agree. And I don't know if I have a great answer for that. The wanting to do everything myself, I still sort of need to work through, right? So I was working so much that I knew I needed some kind of help, right? And I partnered with someone and with my business partner and I have this team, but I still struggle with
Mm.
delegating. And I think about that all the time. I actually find it easier to delegate at home than I do at work. And that might just be now, like at my kids' ages, like they're a little bit more independent. I feel like I have it all figured out at home.
Mm.
I think I would, if you were to ask the people on my team, like, is Rebecca great at delegating? They probably would say, she's working on it. Um, so yes, I very much like to be in control and do all of it myself. I think part of it's also like my business is very client focused, right? So I'm always feeling like this client like picked me. There's thousands of us here and they picked me to work with. So like I now can't pass them off or like have somebody else step in once in a while. It doesn't feel comfortable. And I feel like I have to be the one that's hand holding from start to finish. And I think about how I can do that a little less, but I definitely like to do it all myself.
Don't we all wish we could clone ourselves? So you said it's easier now to delegate at home. Has that always been the case? Because you said about like their ages.
I think it's always been the case. I shouldn't say I don't have any guilt. I have tons of guilt about a lot of different things, but I think when they were very young, I was able to lean into having help at home and really trusting the people that helped take care of my kids. My husband, I had babysitters and nannies and I've just been really lucky in feeling like I trust them, and almost, this is going to sound like, sometimes I think that they can do it a little better than me. The home stuff is not my strong suit. Like I'm not a cooker. I don't cook. I'm not super organized. And I'm like good at just being like a nurturing mom, but like all the like house stuff I'm terrible at. So I've always just felt like someone is much better at this than I am. So I've been able to lean in at home to the help much more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think that is very common for high achieving women because it's like, I know what I'm doing at work. I know I'm good at that. In your case, you have been learning how to do that your whole life.
Feels
right?
like it, yep.
You took like the most immersive courses in how to do this. And so it makes sense that you feel like very proficient there. And I think that for a lot of women, it's like, well, I know how to do that. I know how to show up well to that. And I feel like I don't know how to do this stuff at home. They don't really teach me how to deal with these two unique individuals and their specific needs and this house and like what's happening here, right? It's like very specific and unique. And so that is something that I hear from so many executive women is like, I can kill it at work, but like I get home and I'm like, well, what am I doing?
Yeah, I very much relate to that.
Yeah. So tell me more if you're comfortable talking about it. I would love to hear more about you. You mentioned guilt because I think that so many of us feel some level of guilt and we don't talk about it enough. It just kind of exists there along with us and it comes with us everywhere we go. And then it just like stays there. And I think if we all talked about it more, it would feel like, oh, this is more normal. Other people feel this.
I think a lot of it comes from sort of the perception of other moms. You know, like if I were parenting in a vacuum or like I didn't see and hear from other people, I don't know, I wonder if that would feel different. But it's just the moms that are able to be home more and, you know, hearing all the things that they do and they have just like time to plan this amazing birthday party for their kids, or like they always know like the right class to put them in for like an after school. And, you know, they always like are showing up at school and talking to their class and just like things that I just do not have the capacity for. And just like, I don't think is my strong suit. So I start to feel guilty. Like, oh, I'm always like, do you think Abby realizes that like her birthday party wasn't as fun as this other kid's? Or did she see me on my phone at her dance recital? Like, I have a constant voice in my head. And I'm not sure if there's anything I can really do about it. I think I've realized that the guilt just might always be there and that I have to keep like telling myself that I'm doing a good job, but it's always there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's like there's a part of you that's really good at delegating, and there's a part of you that doesn't want to delegate. But there's also a part of you that's saying, like, making you feel guilty for delegating, right? Yeah.
100%. Like, I guess I'm unwilling to like say like I'm gonna have someone else plan the birthday party, right? Like I'm mom, I'm supposed to plan the birthday party, or like maybe
Yeah.
I can lean on somebody else to pack my kids up for a trip. That is something that like, but I'm like I'm mom, and like I know what they need for the trip. So like I need to do that. So I'm, up late at night, like right before the trip, packing and or, buying, they need more socks. I am sure my husband can order more socks, or but like I'm just like he's not going to get the socks that I like think they should have. And so I'm not great at delegating those things because I feel like it's supposed to be my job, but then I feel guilty about it because I'm doing it at the last minute or we are going to school and there's no socks.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so interesting because it's like, I'm mom, I'm supposed to. I think that is like, we can all finish the sentence with something, and it's different for everybody of like what we believe we're supposed to do, like what those roles are. Because some people might say, like, I'm totally fine delegating the packing, but I'm not okay delegating this, this, and this because I'm mom, I'm supposed to.
I can delegate the like someone being home when when my kids come home from school and like making their dinner. I guess that's one that I'm actually okay with because they're kind of picky eaters, so they kind of eat the same thing every night. And so like that I'm okay with, but yeah, then I'm not okay with them ordering socks or packing or any of the others. So it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
I don't think it has to, but I think that it's just so interesting to like see how all of us are experiencing this in some way, right? That we have some story that because I'm mom, I'm supposed to do something. And really what it means is like, if I don't do that, then it means something about me. It means I'm a bad mom or that I'm not as invested or whatever, whatever we're making it mean if we don't do that thing that we believe we're supposed to do. And usually I think that thing that we believe we're supposed to do probably comes from watching our mom do it or, like our upbringing, our culture, and also, like you said, kind of the perception of what other moms are doing, which it's so interesting because almost every woman, if you like talk to her and got into it, would say like, I feel guilty about, wherever I'm not contributing as much as I
Exactly.
think I should be or want to, whether
Exactly.
that's at home or at work, right?
Yeah. I also really resonate with the like, I have a mom that, was when I was growing up, just like did everything, like made my Halloween costumes from scratch or like made my birthday cakes from scratch, like those kinds of things that like, that is the last thing that I would do. And so I think there's part of that was like, and she was just such a good mom. And like, she was so present. And I constantly, like, I'm just not as good as she is. That's something I kind of think about all the time.
Well, and was she doing what you're doing in terms of career side?
No. So my mom worked with my dad in the family business. She did basically what I was doing for those first 10 years. But she was there just when I was at school doing a little bit of like paperwork. And then she would pick me up from school every day. She worked, but not in the same capacity.
Yeah, which is a huge difference. I grew up with a stay-at-home mom, and
Yeah.
similarly, she had three kids, and I have one. And I remember at the beginning, like comparing myself constantly, like, how does she do this? Because I don't know how to manage one baby. And it's amazing that we have these like wonderful mothers setting an amazing example for us. And it's also so fascinating how our brains will use that against us to like tell us that we're not measuring up, we're not as good as her. But we have different priorities and different responsibilities. We're living in a very different time
Yeah.
than that was. It resonates with me as well to think about, just kind of feeling like my mom was this. And so therefore I set my expectations of myself at that bar.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, I also have these expectations of myself And for me, it was like what my dad was an entrepreneur. So it was like I have these expectations of myself and a very high bar for what he accomplished. And so then, it's like I'm literally trying to be two people with a very high bar for both of them.
Yes, 100% resonate with that. I always think about what she's going to think about when she's older. Like, is she going to say, my mom wasn't around as much as I would have liked? Is she going to say, my mom was like so badass. She like started a business when I was a baby and like, I think it was so cool and I want to be like her. And so I'm always thinking like, well, how is this going to affect my kids? Are they going to think it's great or are they going to think it's terrible?
Yeah, the reality is like probably somewhere in between or a little bit of both, right? Like there are probably going to be times where our kids are like, man, I wish my mom was around for that more. There are going to be times where our kids are like, man, my mom is such a badass and I want to be like her, or like she set such a great example, right? And it's kind of like all is there.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm curious about, we all have this time and it's finite, right? Like we have this time where our kids are from this age to this age, and we have, on the day-to-day time to spend with them, and we have time to spend at work, and we choose how we prioritize that time. And there's no right or wrong across the board, right? Like what one woman wants, how she wants to spend her time is very different from how another woman wants to spend her time. And so I truly believe that like we should never be shaming anyone for spending like too much time at work or too much time at home or whatever, right? Like we, for whatever reason, we do it in our heads with our perceptions of other people and thinking that like they must have a better balance, and they look at us and think that we must have a better balance, right? Like there's no perfect way. So I guess I'm curious for you, as this like super high performer in your career with two kids, like how do you feel about how you spend your time and how you prioritize? Like how do you determine that and how do you feel about it?
So I think there is a finite amount of time where your kids want you to be with them. They want me there. And so I very much prioritize, I am at every single game for my son. I am at every single dance recital for my daughter. I try to always be at the school events. I try very hard to be home at bedtime. Sometimes I'm not. That's okay. But my priority is being present for them. I think my struggle is more my mind isn't always present for them, right? Mm-hmm. So like there are moments where they're talking to me and I am not thinking about what they're saying. I'm thinking about something at work. And then they're already at the age where they're like, did you hear what I just said? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was thinking about something at work. There's one thing to be physically present, but it also is a priority to me to be like mentally present. And that's something that I struggle with and that I work on. We have these phones. My business is all on my phone. That phone is attached to me. I'll be home after like a day of work and I'm still emailing and like, how do I separate from that? And I just got an important email, like the boundaries of not responding right away to my clients because now I am home or doing something with my kids. That is something that I have not figured out yet.
Yeah, well, I think when we initially spoke, we talked about, I love having people on the podcast who have figured some things out and also are going to be open in sharing what they haven't figured out. It's important for other high achieving executive moms who are probably experiencing some of the same things to hear like, oh my gosh, this person isn't perfect, because that's always what we construct in our heads about, about other people. So I love that you share that, because I think that, there are always things that we are working to figure out in trying to dance this dance and find this balance or integration or whatever we want to call it with work and life. And so I think it's important to know that, number one, you haven't figured it all out, because nobody has. They just aren't sharing the parts that they haven't figured out yet. But I'm curious, are there parts that you feel like, man, I'm nailing that? Or like, I've really learned that throughout these 8 years of how to do this a little differently, like looking back, like this is how I used to do it, and now I feel a lot better about how approaching things?
I think as I get more confident in myself at work, I then can be better at home. So, when you're building something, for me, there was a lot of insecurity there. Are people going to hire me? Are they going to think I'm good? Are they going to feel like I was a good communicator? And the more success I have at work where I'm like, I'm good at this, then the easier it gets to be present at home because I'm there. That worry of the other thing isn't there. I'm able to say, I don't need to respond to this person like this second, or I've seen this before. It's all going to work out. But it's like when you're first starting and a deal is falling apart, it's all consuming. And, your kids are talking to you and you're like, I'm literally like having a fire drill at work. But now it's sort of like, well, I've seen that before. I know how to fix this. I'll get to it. I've definitely gotten better. And I think that the more confidence I have at one, then I become more confident in the other.
Yeah. I love that idea of when you're more confident at work, you can be more present at home, because I think that's so true. Like a lot of times the thing that we're thinking about, we're either thinking about how to solve a problem, like you said, a fire drill, or we're overanalyzing like, oh, how did I show up today? Or like a conversation or something that we did that we didn't feel as good about. And that's a lot of times like what's running in our heads whenever we're spending time with our kids. And then we feel like, at the end of the day, I think that's when we feel like, I used to always describe it as like failing at everything, because it's like, man, I didn't show up at work the way I wanted to. And I'm like beating myself up about that all night. And then because of that, I didn't show up with my kids the way I wanted to. And so now I just feel like, what a crappy day, because I don't feel good about anything that I really did today. But when we are feeling good about how we're contributing at work and how we're showing up at work, what you're saying is like, then that allows us to be a little bit more in the moment with our kids, maybe set some more boundaries with work that we didn't feel comfortable setting in the past.
Exactly. And then I would just add like throwing in the managing people piece is just another layer of, did I show up enough for them today? I was so consumed with my kids that I wasn't able to help them. And I have this like, are they mad at me piece that I'm sure men don't have. I just don't think that their brains work that way. But it's that emotional, like, I want everyone to be happy with me. Now that I have this team, like that's always also constantly going through my brain. But
yeah, well, I think as women, we're socialized to believe that it's our job to control other people's opinions of us. It's our responsibility, and it's also our responsibility to make sure that everybody's opinions of us are positive.
Right. Yeah.
And if they're not, it's a problem, and it's our problem.
It's our problem, right?
Yes, I can say that as a recovering people pleaser. That is a shared thing that we're all taught, because that wasn't like a universal thing, then every woman wouldn't resonate with that, right? Like, it's like every woman knows that feeling and knows the weight of that responsibility. And even if someone's not aware of it, if they think to like all of they like really look at their thought patterns of like, what am I spending my time thinking about? Then it's like, oh, are they mad at me? Are they happy with me? Did I do enough for them? Are they still holding me in high regard? It's constantly running in our heads.
Yeah, it can be exhausting.
Yeah, for sure. Managing a team as well, I think it's kind of like when you have people in your care at work and you have people in your care at home, a lot of times it can be really challenging to then be like, I'm going to prioritize myself because I have all of these other people that I need to focus on. And I think, again, as women, we're kind of socialized to believe that we need to put everyone ahead of ourselves. So how do you manage that of kind of like taking care of yourself while taking care of everybody else?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I prioritize sleep. Without sleep, like I can't do any of it. I am a no use to anyone. So that is something I've learned over the years, is that I need good sleep. So I go to sleep at 9:30 and I wake up at 7, and I need those hours. So that is one way that I very much take care of myself. And if you find me not having those hours of sleep, like my husband will say, like, today is just not your day. So, and then, I fell off the wagon with just working out. I couldn't figure out the time to do that. And it's like, of course there's time, but I look at my calendar and I'd say, not happening. I can't find the time to do that. It was many years where I didn't work out. Like starting COVID, it was like, well, I'm not going to go to the gym, and, I have a lot to do, and I had babies and whatever. I just stopped. And that definitely then affected other things, I was more tired because I wasn't moving my body. So I really tried to, in the mornings, after I wake up, not too early, because again, I need the sleep, to find the time to work out. So I'm getting better at that. My husband and I will try to, spend some time together Saturday nights. But, that is also can be challenging to find the time to spend time with your partner.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I love that you're prioritizing sleep that much. That's amazing.
I'm always so fascinated by people that just can function on no sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, I think there's like no right way or wrong way to take care of ourselves. And we all have different needs. So it's just like recognizing what that need is and then meeting it. You need, how many hours of sleep is that? 10 hours of sleep? That's a lot.
I don't know if it's 10 hours.
That's amazing.
I need 9 for sure.
Yeah. So it's like prioritizing that and saying like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to make that happen because I know that this is a need of mine in order to be able to do all the other things I want to do. I think for a lot of us it's sleep, but also, it might be other things. So I think it's amazing to like, just say like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm prioritizing, and set that boundary. So
yeah, my kids know they don't wake up mommy. That's like, it's like I trained them, which is like kind of weird, but they know that I cannot be woken.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Well, I have loved hearing all about how you're doing all of this and, your amazing accomplishments and the areas that you feel like you're doing really well at and the areas where you're still working on, which I think is amazing for everyone to hear because, we all have things that we believe we should be doing better or that we want to be doing better. And I think it's always helpful to hear real women talk about real things and not just like, I have this perfect career and a perfect family and a perfect marriage. And then we all like are judging ourselves because we're thinking that everything's perfect for them. Right. But it's just not true. So in closing, is there anything else that you would want to share?
I would just share very similar sentiments to what you said, that no one has it figured out and we're all just trying to do the best that we can do. I think it's important to be like reflective and to constantly work on ourselves to make sure that we're happy and everyone around us is happy. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here today. It's been lovely talking with you. And thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. And we will see you all next week. Thank you so much for listening to Leadership and Motherhood. I genuinely hope you're walking away with something helpful that will positively impact your life. If this podcast resonates with you, it would mean the world to me if you'd support the show by leaving a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify, sharing an episode you loved with someone you care about, and/or by following the show. I hope you'll join me again next week. And until then, I'm wishing you all the best in this season of your one and only precious life.